Hello and welcome to the AI Innovation and Business Podcast with Daniel Halbert. Today we have a very special guest, Chuck Freilich. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, the timing is perfect to have you on the podcast, and I'm really excited for our viewers. So, just to give some background for everybody, Chuck Freilich is the former Israeli Deputy National Security Advisor and current INSS senior researcher. Chuck Freilich is a prominent Israeli security expert who spent over 2 decades in Israel's defense establishment before entering academia. He served as Israel's Deputy National Security Advisor and later became a senior fellow at Harvard's Belfer Center. Today, he teaches political science at institutions including Tel Aviv University, Columbia, and NYU, and edits the Israel Journal of Foreign Affairs. Freilich is the author of Zion's Dilemma, which he wrote in 2012, Israeli National Security in 2018, and Israel and the Cyber Threat in 2023. His specialty is Israeli national security strategy and decision-making, U.S.-Israel relations, and Middle East security policy. He's a prolific writer. He's already published some 250 op-eds in Israeli and American outlets. Chuck, with that introduction, I'll welcome you a second time to the podcast.
Thanks again.
So, just to get the conversation started, would you mind just explaining to me a very basic question, which I failed to truly understand? What does it mean to be Israel's Deputy National Security Advisor?
Well, first of all, Israel only established a National Security Council in effect in 2000. And it's interesting that it was a time when a number of other countries with parliamentary systems, the UK, India, and others, within a year or two of the time that Israel established a council, they did as well. It's really an interesting innovation in a parliamentary system because the idea of a National Security Council is an American concept as a council that advises the president. And in the US, you have the cabinet, which isn't an important forum. The secretaries, the ministers in the American sense, are very important. But as a forum, the cabinet rarely has a great deal to do. And because of that, after World War II, the US decided, well, we need a statutory forum for national security decision-making. So it's the president, Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, the head of CIA, a few other people. And the NSC became a very influential body in the U.S. over the years. There's been talk about establishing an NSC in Israel since forever. And it finally happened, as I said, in 2000. It started out as a cabinet decision that Netanyahu passed at the very end of his tenure in 2009. And then Ehud Barak wins, and he's followed by Sharon. And they weren't interested in the council. It had been established. It would have looked bad to disband it. So they didn't, but they didn't accord it very much interest. Then the Second Lebanon War, 2006, comes along. And because of the failures of the war, of the decision-making process at the time, the National Commission of Inquiry, which is established afterwards, strongly recommends that the NSC become a statutory organization and that its role be upgraded greatly. And in 2008, the legislation is passed by the Knesset, and since then you see just a growing trajectory of the council's influence. And because Netanyahu, maybe his American background, maybe just he's minded to the idea of having a advisory body for the prime minister more than some of his predecessors, he's given it an increasingly important role. And today it's one of the major players in the Israeli system. And that's a long background to answer to your question, but what it means is that the council as a whole advises the prime minister on areas of national security, defense, foreign affairs, domestic matters that are directly related to national security. And you could say, well, what is he needed for? There's a Ministry of Defense, there's the IDF, there's the Foreign Ministry, and that's true, but they each deal with a certain area of responsibility. They report to their ministers. And remember, ministers in Israel, unlike American secretaries, are not beholden to the prime minister. Sometimes there is chief political rivals. So here, this is a body which just serves the prime minister and is supposed to take a broad, integrative national approach.
Fascinating.